Okay. So at this point, I think we'll call to order the September 3rd meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. The first order of business is going to be case number 87. No, it's not the first order of business. As a preliminary matter, my name is Bill McCusker, and this is the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. I am the Zoning Board of Appeals chairman. I'd like to confirm that all members in person and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. So members, at this time, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative verbally. Ms. DeRogers.
Yes.
Ms. Reed.
Yes.
Mr. Yeomans.
Yes.
Mr. Waller.
Yes.
Mr. Parisi.
Yes.
Mr. Gannison.
Yes.
Beautiful. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Ms. Kojavos.
Yes.
Is Mr. Berger with us?
No, he is not tonight. He could not make it.
Okay, I see that Mr. Walsh is with us, I believe, for some things later on, but we'll check in now to make sure you can hear us and we can hear you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I can hear you.
Okay, first case is High Street, which is Mr. Zeminski. Can you just confirm that you can hear us and we can hear you?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. And Mr. Mulvey's on too, so why don't we just take care of you? Can you hear us and can we hear you, Mr. Mulvey?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay, so continuing with these preliminary matters. This open meeting of the Grafton Zoning Board of Appeals is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted to the town's website at www.grafton-ma.gov, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. That's an important point, all right? The only time the public participation is going to be part of this meeting this evening is for the two public hearings that we have in front of us. For this meeting, the Grafton Zoning Board of Appeals is convening by video conference via Zoom and by TV. Are we live, Katrina?
Yes, we are. Bill is in the booth.
Excellent. With dial-in access as posted on the town's website. Is that true? Do we have
Yes.
dial-in access or just by Zoom?
By Zoom.
Okay. Post on websites and how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other people may be able to see you and that you should take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording of this meeting and become a permanent record. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. We're now turning to the first item on the agenda, but before we do so, let's go through some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and assure accurate meeting minutes. Chair will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will allow ZBA members to comment. For items with public comment, we have two hearings today. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment by acknowledging comments and questions received in advance of the meeting, essentially by email or mail. To request acknowledgement to speak, please use the chat feature in Zoom to request to speak. The meeting administrator will enable you to speak when it's your turn. For those on the phone, the AV staff will coordinate with the meeting. Or no, that's all done through Zoom, right?
All done through Zoom.
The meeting administrator will read real-time comments, questions typed by computer participants in the chat feature, followed by real-time board applicant responses. And then finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. Okay, so that's that out of the way. The next item of business is case number 871, which is, let me get that out of the way, 16 High Street requesting a special permit to add a deck within their front setback. At this time, actually, I'm going to skip board introduction because we basically just went through that. The way we will proceed is the clerk will read the petition, and after the clerk has read the petitioner will have the floor and will have the opportunity to present their case. There will be a 15-minute time limit for the petitioner. This time limit can be extended with the consent of the board. The petitioner shall present required information, and all comments should be specific. Anyone wishing to speak? Well, we already went through how you'd get acknowledged, but there will be an opportunity for people to speak in favor or against the petition. Opposition will also have a 15-minute time limit. After all evidence is presented, the board will enter into discussion, hope to come up with a decision. At any time during this hearing and prior to a decision being made by this board, the petitioner has the option to request that the petition be withdrawn without prejudice or continued until a later date at which time further information and evidence can be presented. When it is your turn to speak, please give your name and address for the record. The board may ask questions from time to time. However, everything really kind of needs to be directed through the chair, especially in these circumstances. At this time, I'd ask the clerk to read the petition.
Special permit to allow the construction of a 17-foot by 13-foot deck off the back of the house and need 3 feet of relief from the required front setback of 40 feet. The edge of the deck attached to the house is 37 feet off the front setback. Map 27, lot 70. The board will conduct a public hearing on Thursday, September 3rd, 2020 at 7 p.m. via Zoom conference to consider this request and or take whatever action is necessary, including the granting of a finding, special permit, variance, or other necessary relief allowed under the zoning bylaws. Copies of the application and plan are available for public inspection on the Town of Grafton website at www.grafton-ma.gov on the Zoning Board of Appeals 40A page. The September 3rd, 2020 ZBA meeting may be accessed via either the following, as Bill stated earlier in his introduction. Zoning Board of Appeals members, William McCusker, Chairman, Kay Reed Clark, Brian Waller, Member 2, Seth Ganesian, Alternate, Marion DeRozier's Vice Chair, Bill Yeomans, Member 1, and Carl Parisi, Alternate. Case number 871.
Thank you. I know it's been advertised. I trust that it was posted appropriately.
Yes, it was.
And at this time, do any of the members have to recuse themselves due to any sort of conflicts or other means? So the 5 permanent members will vote on this case. At this point, I turn the floor over to the applicant.
Hi, good evening. My name is Michael Szymański. I'm at 16 High Street in North Grafton. I am requesting to build this deck as I currently don't have any access to the backyard from the living space off the back of the house. I have to walk out the front door to go around the house to get to the backyard. That's the main purpose. The second one is that I have 2 little kids and I would love for them to enjoy the backyard, and so that we wouldn't have to walk around the house to get to it. That's pretty much the basis for why I'm trying to do this.
Okay, so I just want to clarify. It mentioned adding a deck within the front setback, but that's really not the case, is it? Or you're not doing this within the front setback; it's within the side setback.
Yeah.
Bill, the house is a neighborhood business, and the front setback is 40 feet. So where the deck is going to start is at 37 feet. I know, it's a Bob thing.
It's still at the back of the house, and pretty much my entire house is within the front setback as it was built almost 100 years ago. My neighbors just on the other side of the street have a 30-foot setback, and the street that I live on is pretty much it's all residential. So even though I am in neighborhood business, the street feels more like what's on the opposite side of the street.
Okay, I'm thinking for a minute here. All right, any comments or questions from the board at this point?
Put up the plot plan so everybody can see it.
Yep, thank you. All right, I'm gonna ask a few questions that may seem rather mundane, but one of the things we need to do first off here is establish that the house is indeed a pre-existing non-conforming structure. So I just need to get that documented, and that's the nature of the questions I'm about to start asking. So, and I don't have the determination here in front of me, so some of this may be on there, but when was the house built? Do we have that somewhere?
1920.
Beautiful. All right, parcels in the neighborhood business zoning district, requires 100 feet of frontage, and you have, looks like 68.5 feet of frontage, is that correct?
Yes.
Parcel of 68.5 feet. 20,000 square foot lot, you've got lot area, 20,000 square feet. All right, so you got that one okay. 40 feet of front yard setback. The structure is located how many feet off the front yard? We actually don't have that here, do we?
It's on the plot plan. It's 9 feet at the closest spot and 8.7 feet.
8.7. Okay, got it. Thank you. 8.7. 15-foot side yard. You've got 14'6", so I think we've got enough at that point. Back is fine. All right, so I think those are findings, right? Not enough front edge, not enough front yard setback, not enough side yard setback. So I think we can agree that that's a pre-existing non-conforming structure. So then the house today is currently a residential use?
That's correct.
Correct? You use it as a house
That's correct.
to live in?
Yes.
How many bedroom, how many bath, just for, so I can write it down here?
3 bedrooms, 1 bath.
3, 1. And when you're finished with this renovation, it'll still be a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house?
That is correct. Yes.
All right, the neighborhood is really primarily residential. Residences.
Yes.
And this is, the deck is really just for your own family residential enjoyment. You're not planning to conduct any business or anything like that there?
That is correct. No business.
All right, it's probably safe to say that we, this proposal is not more detrimental to the neighborhood. Any indication if this is in the overlay district?
It is
Water
not.
protection?
It is not.
Okay, so that stuff goes away, all right. Any communication in favor, or any communication regarding this proposal?
So yes, the Board of Health had no comment. We did get something from one of his neighbors. Hold on one second. Where was it? His neighbor, Art Kinch of 17 High Street. They're in favor of Mr. Szymanski's petition and are pleased that he is improving his house and our street. That's the only comment we've gotten.
So Board of Health, 17 High Street, or no, somewhere else on High Street. No, from 17 High,
17
right?
High Street. Yep.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that was it.
Anyone in the audience want to speak that you can see, Katrina?
None that I can see. Nobody's here.
Anything else from the board?
No.
Seems pretty straightforward, folks. So let me just review this. Just out of curiosity, Katrina, why did this legal notice need to be revised?
I had a typo. Oh, I had set up the wrong Zoom meeting info on it, so that's why it had to
okay.
get
All right.
revised. And I realized it
All right.
after I had done it all.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so what I think I need here is a motion to grant a special permit to Michael Szymanski, and I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, sir, 16 High Street, to allow construction of a 17 by 13 deck off the back of the house. And then what do we have for as depicted? That drawing, probably?
Yeah, I've got the plot plan. I can put that in as Exhibit A.
Yeah, so let's make that Exhibit A.
Okay.
So it's on the back, off the back of the house as depicted in Exhibit A.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Let me just say, so yeah, we don't need any of that. Don't need any of that. Okay, motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, then we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. DeRosiers,
Yes.
Ms. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Yeomans,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
Yes.
Chairman McCusker votes yes. So to the applicant, the special permit has been granted. What happens next is our secretary types up the decision, then tries to corral us to get in and actually sign the decision. Once we do that, it gets filed with the town clerk. There's a 20-day appeal period. At the end of the 20-day appeal period, you can pick up assuming no one appeals, you can pick up a certified copy. It's very important that you take and have that certified copy filed at the Worcester County Registry of Deeds. Kind of make it a permanent part of your home and your deed, et cetera. That's a pretty important step. Any other questions?
No, thank you so
So-
much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. I think I should have done a motion to end the public hearing component of this before we voted, but I didn't, so we'll do it now. So entertain a motion to end case 871.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Again, by roll call vote, Ms. DeRosiers,
Yes.
Ms. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Yeomans,
Yes.
Mr. Waller.
Yes.
Chairman votes yes. All right, so that's case 871 in the books. 872 is at 7:15, and well, we're way past that, so we can go straight to that.
Michael, you can sign off. You're all set.
Thank you again. Have a good evening.
You too.
Yep, thank you. Okay, so Mr. Mulvey's on. You heard us all introduce ourselves, so we're going to skip that part. Did you hear me go through the rules for this evening,
Yes, sir, I did.
Mr. Mulvey? Okay, and Katrina, has anyone in the public joined since I went through those rules?
Nobody has joined.
All right, then I'm not going to read them again. So at this point, we'll just read the legal notice, Kay. We'll do that part for sure. You're muted. Kay, you're muted.
Okay, sorry.
There we go.
Revised legal notice, the Grafton Board of Appeals has received a petition from Christopher Mulvey for 26K Circle, requesting that the Zoning Board of Appeals grant a special permit to allow the construction of a 1,400 square foot, 3-car garage on a pre-existing non-conforming structure, where a 30-foot front setback is required and the dwelling is 24.3 feet off the front lot line, looking for 5.7 feet of relief. Map 28, Lot 31. The board will conduct a public hearing on Thursday, September 3rd, 2020 at 7:15 p.m. via Zoom conference to consider this request and/or take whatever action is necessary, including the granting of a finding, special permit, variance, or other necessary relief allowed under the zoning bylaw. Copies of the application and plan are available for public inspection on the Town of Grafton website of www.grafton-ma.gov on the Zoning Board of Appeals 40A page. Zoning Board of Appeals, William McCusker, Chairman, Marion DeRozier's Vice Chair, Kay Reed Clerk, Bill Yeomans, Member 1, Brian Waller, Member 2, Carl Parisi, Alternate, and Seth Ganesian, Alternate. Case number 872.
Excellent. Thank you. And this was also, I know, advertised and properly posted.
Yes, it was.
Katrina,
Yes.
thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So at this point, the applicant has the floor.
If I could,
Zach,
Oh,
thank you.
wait. Hang on. Before we do that, are all the permanent members able to hear this case and vote on it? Anyone need to recuse themselves?
No.
Okay. Now the applicant has the floor.
Zach, after you.
good evening, everybody. My name is Zach Couture with HS&T. I'm here tonight representing Mr. Christopher Mulvey, who is the owner of 26K Circle. I know I didn't get in on the roll call earlier. I just want to make sure, can everybody hear me clearly? Does everything sound good?
Yep.
All
I can hear you.
Perfect. So as stated, we're here tonight requesting a special permit for the expansion of a non-conforming structure. This structure is non-conforming in terms of its front yard setback. The applicant is proposing to construct an attached garage also with a mudroom. The mudroom will attach the existing single family and the proposed garage itself. This proposal will not increase the nonconformity within the front yard setback. The garage is actually pushed back a little bit, so the garage at its closest point will be 24.7 feet. We need the special permit as we're increasing the square footage of the non-conforming structure itself. In terms other than that, the structure will be conforming in terms of all other dimensional requirements under the current zoning ordinance, including the lot coverage. Existing is he has about 6% in with the attached garage. He's at about 14%. If you look at the K Circle neighborhood, most of these homes were constructed in the 50s, so therefore the majority of them are non-conforming in terms of the front yard setback. Mr. Mulvey not excluded from that as well. Most of the neighborhood does have either attached garage or detached garage, which are also non-conforming. So we feel pretty comfortable in saying that we feel like this fits within the characteristics of the neighborhood. There is some wetlands located in the rear, so we will be required to file a notice of intent with Mass DEP, as well as the Grafton Conservation Commission. But other than that, I'd like to open it up to the board, answer any questions, concerns, or anything you might have.
Any comments or thoughts or questions from the board?
I just have one question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Yeomans.
The, Kay, the note that we received from someone, Wendy Swartz, regarding a right-of-way, could they shed some light on that as to where this right-of-way is?
Okay, so let's go straight to then, Katrina, if you could please read that communication.
Yep. So the comment is from 24K Circle. The question is, will this construction affect the right-of-way for the land at 24K Circle side, owned by the McGee Family Irrevocable Trust, which I am the trustee? We will be exploring the option of selling this land soon, and I just don't want any issues with the right-of-way. I apologize if this is a stupid question. I don't know much about the land and/or the town zoning laws. I am sending this public comment because I don't think I will be able to attend the meeting on September 3rd via Zoom. And it's Wendy Schwartz, the trustee for the McGee Family Irrevocable Trust.
So does the applicant want to comment on that question or query?
Yes, so I know there is a right of way in between myself and my neighbor at 24K Circle. As far as I know, it should not affect that right of way. Like I said, there's a patch of trees in between my property and her property, which I believe is where that right of way is on the town map, and it shouldn't affect any sort of passage through there.
And if I could piggyback off that, Mr. Chairman, the existing curb cut for 26K Circle will actually not be altered by this proposal. So we're actually going to keep the same curb cut that's already existing. We are going to change the driveway as it comes into the new garage. So a portion of it will be moved, resurfaced, and it will be widened. But we are still 10 feet off of the property line with the driveway, and the structure itself is 15.5 feet. So just to get some bearings for the board, if you're standing on K Circle looking at my client's property, the right-of-way, it's actually not even technically a right-of-way. It's the property to the right-hand side, which they have 41.4 feet of frontage, which access 6 acres in the back. So by no means will any construction or the placement of this garage will affect them in any way. Essentially, it's like the property is staying the same to them, just with looking at a garage on their neighboring property. So it shouldn't affect them at all.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That satisfies my question.
Yeah, and I was going to comment on that. I mean, I didn't think you actually had a right of way going across your property. I figured it was actually just the neighbor's property. The ZBA certainly can't give you permission to build on your neighbor's property, and for that matter, if there happened to be a right of way and you build on top of a right of way on your property, that's a civil matter between you and whoever is the beneficiary of that right of way. Again, it's really kind of out of our purview, so to speak. So, but it's exactly as I expected. And actually we've experienced, spent a lot of time on that piece of property. It was a 40B proposed there at one point. Okay. So, any other comments or thoughts or questions from the board? Then some of the same questions I asked the previous applicant. Do we know when the house was built?
1954 on the town records, Bill.
Thank you. Oh, hang on a second. 1954 and is located R20, right? This is R20 zone?
Yes, it is.
Want to make sure I'm looking at the right. Okay. How much frontage does this have, or what are the nonconformities on this? Is it frontage? Is it?
It's the front setback. The size of the property is supposed to be 20,000 square feet. It's only 19,102.
All right, hang on a second. 19,102, where 20,000 is required. The frontage actually looks like it's okay, 144, you need 140, 30-foot front yard setback, and how much do we have?
24.3. Well, actually 14.7 if you go from the steps, from the front steps, 24.3 from the side of the actual building of the house.
Yeah, I thought Bob said the steps don't count.
Right.
I think they don't. I think it's the actual building,
Right.
which is 24.3.
Yep. And then side setback, 15 is required. You're going to be 15 and a half, so there's no problem there, and it's not part of the non-conforming. So we got enough. The size of the lot and the front yard setback. So I think based on those, we have a pre-existing non-conforming structure. So the current use is residential, correct?
Correct, yes.
Currently it's a, how many bedroom, how many bath?
It's listed as a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. The 4th bedroom is kind of like a weird flex room, but it's technically a bedroom.
Okay, and it's going to stay that way, 4 bedroom, 2 bath?
Correct.
All right. Neighborhood is primarily residential.
Yes, all residential.
So, I mean, you're adding a garage. The intent is really just to park your vehicles in it, right? I mean, I drove by there earlier this week. I noticed, you know, you've got some plumbing trucks and that sort of stuff. So, but the intention isn't necessarily to start, you know, some sort of a commercial enterprise on the property.
No. It's just strictly to put my vehicles inside to be able to keep things away from the winter weather and whatnot, and just try to preserve the life of the vehicles as best as possible.
No, understood. All right. So that was one comment that we had from the public. Katrina, I think the Board of Health had something. What else do we have for public input?
Board of Health had no comment. The only other comment was from Leah of Conservation, the conservation agent. If the proposed disturbance falls within 50 feet of the wetlands, the applicant will need to file with the Conservation Department, and the engineer said that they will be filing a notice of intent with the conservation. So Leah should be okay with that.
Okay. Yep. And anything else? So is there anyone that wishes to speak in any of our vast audience? No? Cease.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Why there is no? I mean, there should be 30 feet front setback, right? I mean, it has got only 24.3. So is that not an issue? Like, I mean, and it's R20, and you know, it has got 19,000. It's got less than 20,000, right? So I'm just wondering, like, you know, can the garage not be pushed back, like, you know, 5.7 feet? I mean, why? I'm just trying to understand.
May I?
Well, okay. So no, no. So that's really, see, that's kind of the root of why we're here, right? So it is a pre-existing non-conforming structure, right? And both things that you cited is what makes it a pre-existing non-conforming structure. And the law is really pretty clear. Chapter 48 is really pretty clear that homes in this situation can be extended, altered, as long as, you know, essentially it's not something that's more detrimental to the neighborhood. And as long as, and the courts have since ruled, so on top of Chapter 48, then there's case law that makes it pretty clear that as long as you're not increasing the nonconformity, so that would be if that garage were actually further into the front yard, if it was less than 24.3, you know, a front yard, that would be increasing nonconformity. Then they would need to go for a variance, and that's a different set of rules. So the 2 points you bring up are valid, but that's really essentially the reason why they're here today and why they're going through the special permit process, which is really kind of generous. And as long as it's not going to be more detrimental to the neighborhood, generally speaking, they can get what they're asking for. And by detrimental to the neighborhood, you know, if they were, you know, going to, you know, turn that into some sort of commercial enterprise and, you know, start, I don't know what, but something very noisy or smelly or dirty or whatever, you know, then somebody could say, well, that's detrimental to the neighborhood, and then we could say no. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. But I have another question. What if they park a RV, 30-foot RV in their garage? Like, you know, now the garage, I mean, the front setback is going to be only 24.3. If they park a RV down the road, I mean, 30-foot RV down the road, I mean, that's going to be on the street, right?
That's going to be an issue for the police to deal with.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
That's
you.
an issue for the police to deal with. Yep.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Mulvey, do you want to add anything onto that? Or I know I cut you off, but I wanted to make my point first.
You're good. I'm very happy with the way you explained it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anyone else care to have any comments? Is this in the overlay?
No, it is not. Across the street is, but
Excellent.
this lot is not.
Okay, interesting. One question for the engineer. The drawings we have that we received August 25th, looks like it has a July 16th date on it. No, an 8/21 modification. Says ZBA comments for the description on 8/21 and 8/6. Who gave you comments?
So through the chair, that was a little bit of back and forth between us and Katrina. Originally, he had a side driveway that was going to come along the proposed garage, but that would have pushed him in the 10-foot required offset for the driveway. So we then removed it. So at first it was going to be paved. We tried to do gravel, and then we realized that it couldn't be allowed at all. So that's why there's 2 revision dates. So it's just been removed completely.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't so much interested. I actually noticed that because we had the original version. I'm a little anxious about the term ZBA comments because the ZBA hasn't made any comments to you. And I understand that our secretary did, but she's really acting more in her capacity in the building department. I'm not going to ask you to change that, but I don't know. I was just curious because the ZBA has not commented until now. We're not allowed to, quite frankly. So, all right. With that in mind, let me just double check this. So, Christopher Mulvey, 26K Circle, special permit to allow construction of 1,400 square foot 3-car garage. And then we'll do, again, as depicted in Exhibit A. And we'll make this drawing with the 8/21/20 date, Exhibit A, right? So that's the latest one to the engineer, 8/21/20?
That is correct.
Okay. So we'll make that Exhibit A. So that's it. Motion to grant a special permit to Christopher Mulvey, 26K Circle, to allow the construction of a 1,400 square foot 3-car garage as depicted in Exhibit A.
So moved.
second,
Excellent. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Again, on a roll call vote, Ms. DeRosiers,
yes,
Ms. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Yeomans,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
Yes.
Chairman McCusker votes yes. So as I said to the previous applicant, you may have heard, but I'll say it again because it's important. Our secretary will type up the decision. Then she needs to get us in to sign it. Once that happens, she files it with the town clerk. There's a 20-day appeal period. And at the end of the 20-day appeal period, assuming no one has appealed, you can pick up a certified copy of the decision. And it's important that you get that filed at the Worcester County Registry so that it becomes a permanent part of your deed and record. Motion, please, to end case number 872. Well, before, any questions, Mr. Mulvey?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, thank you very much. So motion to end number case 872.
So moved.
Did someone say second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. And a roll call again. Ms. DeRosiers,
yes,
Ms. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Yeomans,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
Yes.
Chairman votes yes. That's 872 in the books. Where'd my agenda go? Elm Rock Estates bond reduction. So, Mr. Mulvey, you can leave at this point unless you want to watch.
Awesome. Thank you all very much. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, everybody. Take care.
Yep. We saw Steve for a moment.
He's here. Let me unmute
We
him.
saw his picture for a minute.
I'm here.
You want to talk about Elm Rock? I assume that's what you're here for, right?
Yeah, it is. I'm just don't have good lighting.
Yeah, we can see that actually.
Are you in a closet?
Kind of, I am. No, not quite in the closet. You can hear me. I can turn the video off. I don't think the video adds anything to the experience here.
Yeah, it's probably a good
See
idea.
that?
Plus,
You can't even
you're actually kind of fading in and out. Hopefully, that getting rid of the video helps you to be more consistent with the audio. So what do we got?
Well, Mr. Chairman, this is Elm Rock Estates, the 40B off of Wheeler Road. The board had voted a bond estimate many months ago, and there's been significant progress. And Eastland, the applicant Wheelrock, is seeking a bond reduction. Jeff from Graves has prepared an updated estimate and shared it with everyone, and we have no objection. We're in agreement, and we would like the board to find the estimate reasonable and acceptable so that the reduction can take effect.
Okay. I guess at that point, then we throw it over to Jeff.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Jeff Walsh with Graves Engineering. Yes, I issued a updated construction cost estimate on August 31st for Elm Rock Estates. We're very happy with the progress there, happy with the quality of work. And our staff engineer who's been involved with the project went through the project with one of the gentlemen from Eastland Partners and quantified items and came up with the estimate, and I certainly reviewed it. I personally have swung by the site. In short, with the 20% held on work executed, we come to an estimate of $478,400 as noted on page 1 of our letter.
So that's what we're keeping, or that's what we're reducing?
That's what you're keeping, Mr. Chairman. Anything above that can be released.
And do we have that calculation somewhere?
I do. I have my file nearby. Steve, correct me if I have the wrong number here, but as of January 15th, 2020, we had recommended $599,000.
That's what I have. That's correct.
So we're keeping 478,398.
You could go, yeah, you could round the four. What do we got here? 478,400, 478 even would be fine too, Mr. Chairman.
478,400. So has anyone done that math, or do I have to do it? We do 478,400.
121.
I had 120,600.
Did you say 120,600?
$120,600 is what I came up with, subtracting 478,400 from 599.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. I have the same number.
As
Isn't
do I.
math wonderful?
Want to take a derivative of that?
No.
Zero.
Please. I'm start getting flashbacks of college calculus, please. All right. So any questions or comments from the board? It seems fairly straightforward. I don't know if anyone's done by there lately, but it looks really good. They've been really kind of moving fast. I think I saw, Steve, there's like 4 lots. What I just rode by there, 4 left or 6 left?
Well, they're all sold, or pre-sold, and there are 4. Yeah, so we're building for customers. at this point. Many are occupied. And so there are 5 foundations left to put in the ground and then frame and finish building houses on. And most of which are in the common drive, the cul-de-sac as well.
Yep. Well,
Mr.
that's
Chair,
excellent.
Can I just make a side note on Elm Rock? We had somebody who was trying to get into High Point for 2.5 years, and I just got an email from her. She just moved into the affordable at Elm Rock.
Excellent.
So I just wanted to give you guys that little tidbit, and she's
Yeah.
very, very happy being over there.
Excellent.
Great.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Chairman, is there work?
Yes, Mr. Yeomans.
Front of the project to back, they're taking care of a lot of the little things that are often other developers might leave to the last minute, like bounds and top course on the sidewalk and things like that. So again, we've been very happy with the work.
Mr. Yeomans.
yes, I drove through there the other day and it's very impressive. It looks great. I do have one question I'd like to ask of Steve. Just
Sure.
a curiosity, I noticed one house about halfway down on the right had surface pipes coming out of the downspouts going out to the street. Is that just a temporary thing, I would assume?
Yeah, there is a roof drain collection system that was a condition of the approval. So some of those connect underground recharge chambers.
Okay,
Are required, but there were several extras added because it just made sense instead of dumping water. There was another condition about not discharging, directing downspouts onto driveways and impervious surfaces.
okay.
So often.
Okay. So, any other comments or thoughts or questions? So at this point, I think we just probably need a motion to reduce the bond for Elm Rock Estates by $120,600 to leave $478,400 still being held.
So moved?
Second.
And Katrina, you got that, right?
Yep.
So motion made and seconded. Any discussion, comments? Hearing none, again, by roll call, Ms. DeRosiers,
Yes.
Ms. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Yeomans,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
Yes.
Chairman McCusker votes yes. Consider the bond reduced.
So Steve had a question. Do you want to sign a new tri-party agreement, or do you want me to just write a memo stating that you guys voted on it and you guys approved it? Because to get you guys in to sign it, I think I'd have to notarize it. I don't know if it's up to you and it's up to Steve, however you guys want me to handle this.
I was going to say it might be up to the bank, right? Isn't there a bank involved in this tripartite? I'll bet it's up to them more than it's up to us.
Right.
So you know what? I'm going to throw it back to Steve. I think Steve's trying to talk, but his audio is really not good.
Okay, we were talking over each other. How's that?
Go ahead.
So the bank does not have a preference. The bank would be satisfied with a memo. Just some record from the board is adequate for the bank.
I think that's fine from from my layman's point of view. If the bank's happy with that, yeah, we've got it documented. I think we'll be fine.
Great.
So that's something you'll type up, Katrina?
Yep, I'll type it up tonight before I leave.
Excellent. Anything else, Steve?
No, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much.
All right. Have a good night. Let me get
Thank you.
back and go. You're welcome. So then the only other business on here is minutes and bills. So we have the minutes of July 30th. Anyone have any comments or questions on this?
Yeah, I have questions.
Mr. Yeomans? Yep.
In case 886, the last sentence disagrees with Attorney Kramer's opinion and gave reasons.
Yep, got it.
And I question why we even need the comment regarding Ferry Street.
I agree.
Okay.
We don't,
Not a problem.
doesn't mean anything to us. And on the next comments from the board, on the second bullet, the end of that sentence, make it unique to the lot itself and therefore is not a reason to grant the variance. I felt that that was a little.
Yeah.
So again, do not make it unique to the lot itself and insert the words and therefore is not a reason to grant the variance, period.
Actually, in that same sentence, the words do not make it really should be replaced with is not. Okay, so the shape and size of this lot is not unique. And then to the lot itself can get stricken. And then I think the words that Bill added.
Okay.
Shape and size of the lot is not unique and therefore is not reason to grant the variance or words something along those lines.
Okay, got it.
And we still have executive minutes, Bill, but we have to be in executive session, I believe, to do those, right?
Correct.
Yep. Which I guess we can do, but yeah, I don't know that there's any reason to figure out how to do it other than just doing the minutes. So I think the motion, though, really should be a little bit more typical motions that we do, right? So it's a motion to grant a variance to David Meridian, 165 Worcester Street. I mean, I think that's really what the motion was. I don't think the motion was just to grant a variance. You understand what I'm saying, Katrina?
Oh, yeah. Well, I wrote to grant a variance for relief from the required lot area and frontage to build a single-family home.
But with the address.
Yeah, but
Oh, I forgot the address. Okay, you're right. Sorry.
and who we're granting it to, like the two we just did tonight. I think you'll document that as
Yep. That was
motion to
my
grant a
mistake.
special permit to
Yep.
Mulvey address blah blah blah. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I will fix it. I am sorry.
Okay.
That's all I see on that one, Mr. Chair.
Any other comments? All right. Motion to accept the meeting minutes of July 30th as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Again, on a roll call vote, Mr. Rogers,
Yes.
Ms. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Yeomans,
Yes.
Mr. Waller,
Yes.
Chairman McCusker votes yes. Just a real quick update. We were going to do the NPC for Fisherville next week. We had to push it out one additional week. They really kind of dragged their feet getting that into us, and we kind of rushed the legal notice. And I really wanted Dan's input. I want to make sure that we do a legal notice for an NPC like that properly. And just by the time we got Dan's input, it was too late really to advertise. So that's why we ended up pushing that out another week. Appreciate everyone's flexibility there. especially Katrina, who had to kind of pull it back at the last minute. But like I said, I really wanted to make sure I want to make sure this is done correctly. So I think it's better safe than sorry. And Dan was good. I mean, he definitely changed it around how we did it. So with that in mind, I don't have anything else for this evening. I don't think there's anything else on the agenda.
That's it.
Anybody else?
I have a
Yes,
question.
Mr. Yeomans. Yes, sir.
Is it the 17th or the 24th? I believe it's the 24th.
It's now the
Isn't it,
24th.
Katrina?
It's the 24th.
Yeah, you're right.
It was going to be the 17th, but it's now the 24th.
Yeah, I was
Correct.
mistaken,
It's the
Bill, when I
24th.
said, yeah, when I said next week, I was mistaken. It was actually 2 weeks, but now it's 3 weeks. Okay, we don't have any other cases,
anything-
right, Katrina?
No, nothing else has come in.
Mr. Yeomans?
Anything new on High Point?
Yeah, Tim tried to drop off another submission, and both Chris and I said until we get the final letter from Jeff that everything is complete, we're not going to take everything. And Tim understood that, and he's like, that's all he needed to hear, and he left. I said, because if it comes in and the letter from Jeff isn't that everything's complete, we're spinning the wheels again. So Tim was fine with that. He was going to go back and talk to Peter, and they have gone out and done the final survey, because I have gotten a couple calls from homeowners up there who said people were walking on their property when they were actually walking on the walking trails. So I do know that Jeff or somebody in his office is currently working on the final as-bills. So as soon as we hear something from either Jeff or Tim, I will let you guys know.
Yeah, I was actually there during one of those really heavy rainstorms we had within the last week or so. I actually drove over there and went out in the rain. And a couple of things I noticed is no runoff whatsoever anywhere. Let's just leave it at that. They actually have done some work on, access to the open space, particularly the open space in the circle, in between the circle there, around the circle, in the circle. Built a little bridge over a small, drainage area, which had a little bit of water running through it. Now, granted, I was there. Actually, it was that first huge rainstorm we had after, a week or two of no rain. So, I don't imagine there was a whole lot of runoff happening. I imagine the ground was absorbing a lot of the rain that was coming down. But it was kind of interesting that there really was no runoff or anything that I could see anywhere when I was walking around there. Just an observation. All right. Nobody else has anything. I don't have anything else. We can understand a motion. And Katrina, did you say Bill was manning the booth?
Yes, he is.
So thank you, Mr. Robideau. Appreciate your help tonight. And with that, I would motion to end this evening's meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Somebody second? We'll do it on a roll call because we're supposed to. Ms. Rogers,
Yes.
Ms. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Yeomans,
Yes, good night, everyone.
Mr. Waller.
Yes.
Chairman votes yes. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.